Fair play. Behavior that is fair, honest, and does not take advantage of people. Fair play is essential in peer review to maintain scientific integrity. Fair play. Honest and just behavior. Fair play is essential in competitive sports. Faithful, not changed. Not changing any of the original details, facts, style, etc. The transcription was faithful to the original audio recordings. Faithful, relationship. If your husband, wife, or partner is faithful, they do not have a sexual relationship with anyone else. The researcher remained faithful to the original methodology to ensure reproducibility. Fake, copy. A copy of something that is intended to look real or valuable and deceive people. The lab detected a fake chemical sample that could have skewed results. Fake, copy, verb. To copy something in order to deceive people. The counterfeit lab report was faked to appear legitimate. Fake, person. Someone who pretends to have particular skills or qualities so that they can deceive people or get their admiration. The supposed expert turned out to be a fake with no real qualification. Fake, pretend, verb. To pretend that something has happened when it has not, or to pretend to have a feeling that you do not have. He faked enthusiasm for the failed experiment. Fall, be defeated. To be defeated and start to be controlled by a different leader. The old theory fell as the new model gained acceptance. Fall, become worse. To become worse or start to be in a bad situation or condition. The patient's condition fell rapidly without immediate treatment. Fall, hang down. To hang down. The vines fell over the edge of the container. Fall back on SBSTH. To use someone or something when other things have failed or when there are no other choices. The team had to fall back on previous datasets when the new instrument malfunctioned. Fall into place, idiom. When events or details that you did not understand before fall into place, they become easy to understand. Once the missing variable was identified, everything fell into place. Fall into place, idiom. Events become understandable. After analysis, the data fell into place. Fall on deaf ears. Advice or a request is ignored. Safety warnings fell on deaf ears until an accident occurred. Fall on deaf ears, idiom. If advice or a request falls on deaf ears, people ignore it. Warnings about contamination fell on deaf ears until an incident occurred. Fall on deaf ears, idiom. If advice or a request falls on deaf ears, people ignore it. Warnings about lab safety fell on deaf ears until an accident occurred. Fall prey to STH. To be hurt or deceived by something or someone bad. Inexperienced students may fall prey to misleading data interpretations. Fall prey to STH. Be hurt or deceived by something. Many young people fall prey to online scams. Fall short of STH. To not reach a particular level but only by a small amount. The yield fell short of expectations by 2%. Fall short of STH. To fail to achieve something. The experiment fell short of proving the hypothesis conclusively. Fall short of STH. To not reach a particular level, but only by a small amount. The measured temperature fell short of the expected 100 degrees Celsius. Fall short of STH. To fail to achieve something. The team fell short of publishing their findings before the deadline. Familiarize yourself with STH. To teach someone more about something new or try to understand more about it yourself. Students familiarized themselves with lab safety procedures before starting experiments. Famine. When people living in a particular area do not have enough food for a long time, causing suffering and death. Historical studies show that famine drastically reduces population health. Fanatic. Someone whose interest in something or enthusiasm for something is extreme. He was a fanatic about microscopy, spending hours observing slides daily. Fancy, surprise. Used at the beginning of a sentence to show that you are surprised or shocked by something. Fancy seeing the same rare chemical compound in two separate experiments. Far from doing STH. Certainly not doing something. He was far from negligent, all protocols were followed. Far away, long distance. A long distance away. The comet appeared far away in the night sky. Fast, firmly. In a firm or tight way. The clamps held the apparatus fast to prevent movement. Fast asleep. Completely asleep. Participants remained fast asleep throughout the polysomnography recording. Fast asleep. Completely asleep. The animal was fast asleep during the observation period. Faultless. Perfect or without any mistakes. The recorded data were faultless after careful calibration. Favor. To choose or prefer one possibility. They favored the optical method over the chemical assay for accuracy. Favorable. Conditions. Making something more likely to be successful. The laboratory conditions were favorable for bacterial growth. Favorite. Likely to win. The person, animal or thing that is most likely to win a competition. The new AI model was the favorite to outperform previous algorithms. Fear the worst. To worry that something very bad will happen or that something very bad has happened. Scientists feared the worst when the reactor temperature spiked unexpectedly. Fear the worst. Phrase. To worry that something very bad will happen or that something very bad has happened. The team feared the worst when the equipment malfunctioned. Fearful. Frightened or worried. The student was fearful of making errors during the live demonstration. Fearless. Not frightened of anything. The fearless explorer entered the untested cave system. Feast on STH. To eat a lot of food and enjoy it very much. After the field study, the team feasted on a celebratory meal. Feat, an act or achievement that shows great skill or strength. Cloning the gene was a remarkable feat in molecular biology. Feature, newspaper. A special article in a newspaper or magazine or a special television program. The journal featured a detailed article on climate change adaptation. Feeble, not good. Not very good or effective. His feeble attempt at explaining the chemical reaction confused everyone. Feeble, weak. Extremely weak. The signal from the distant star was feeble but detectable. Feel faint. To feel very weak and as if you might fall down. The volunteer felt faint after standing for hours without food. Feel faint. To feel very weak and as if you might fall down. She felt faint after standing for hours without hydration. Fend for yourself. To take care of yourself without help. Survival training teaches students to fend for themselves in the wild. Fertile. Fertile land or soil produces a lot of healthy plants. The fertile soil supported an abundant crop of wheat. Fever, excitement. When people are very excited about something. There was a fever of excitement as the scientific conference began. Few and far between. Not happening or existing very often. Such rare astronomical events are few and far between. Few and far between. Not happening or existing very often. Breakthrough discoveries are few and far between in this research field. Fictional. Existing only in fiction. The novel described a fictional virus with unusual properties. Field, containing substance. An area of land covered with or containing a lot of a particular substance. The field contained traces of heavy metals that required careful analysis. Field, in race business. The people who are competing in a race activity or business. The field of competitors included top research labs in renewable energy. Figure, think. To decide something after thinking about it. The scientist figured that the unexpected result was due to equipment error. Fill a need gap, demand. To provide something that people need or want. The new filtration system fills a need for clean water in remote areas. Film, layer. A thin layer of something on a surface. A film of oil formed on the water surface during the experiment. Filter, countable noun. A piece of equipment that you pass a liquid or gas through in order to remove particular substances. The lab used a filter to remove impurities from the solution. Filter, transitive verb. To pass a liquid or gas through a piece of equipment in order to remove solid pieces or other substances. They filtered the solution to remove particulate matter. Filter down, in, through, etc. To gradually appear. The results gradually filtered down to all members of the research team. Filter down, through, out, etc. To gradually become known. The confidential findings eventually filtered through to the scientific community. Final, no more discussion. If a decision, agreement or answer is final, it will not be changed or discussed anymore. The committee's decision on the grant was final. Find common ground, idiom. To find shared beliefs, interests or ideas. The international team tried to find common ground on research protocols. Find common ground, idiom. To find shared beliefs, interests or ideas. The scientists found common ground on the methodology for the joint experiment. Find fault with ISBTH. To criticize someone or something especially without good reasons. Peer reviewers often find fault with methodology to suggest improvements. Find fault with ISBTH. To criticize someone or something especially without good reasons. Peer reviewers sometimes find fault with perfectly valid methods. Fine, thin. Thin or made of very small pieces. The fine powder was used for precise chemical reactions. Finite. Having a limit or end. The available sample size is finite, limiting the statistical power. Fire, shooting. The shooting of guns and other weapons. During the historical reenactment, they simulated fire using blanks. Fire SB's imagination. To make someone very excited or interested in something. The discovery of the new element fired the imagination of chemistry students. Fire SB's imagination. To make someone very excited or interested in something. The breakthrough in genetics fired the students' imagination about future medical applications. Fireplace. A space in the wall of a room where you can have a fire or the structure around this space. The historical lab had an old fireplace used for heating chemicals. Firm, strict. Strict and making certain that people do what you want. The supervisor was firm in enforcing lab safety rules. Firm, strong. Strong and tight. The specimen was held in a firm grip during analysis. Fist. A hand closed into a ball with the fingers and thumb curled tightly together. He clenched his fist in excitement after the successful experiment. Fixed eyes. If your eyes are fixed on something, you are looking at it continuously. Flair, style. When you do something in an exciting and interesting way. The scientist demonstrated flair in designing a visually engaging experiment. Flash, appear. To appear for a short time or to make something appear for a short time. The microscope image flashed on the screen for just a moment. Flash, sudden experience. A sudden experience of something such as a feeling or idea. He had a flash of inspiration while analyzing the data. Flash by, passed through, etc. To move somewhere fast. The comet flashed past the telescope in seconds. Flashback, memory. When you suddenly remember something that happened in the past, often something bad. She experienced a flashback of a failed experiment during the presentation. Flashback, story. Part of a film or book that goes back in time to something that happened before the main story began. The documentary included a flashback to the early laboratory experiments. Fly in the face of, idiom. To be the opposite of what is usual or accepted. The hypothesis seemed to fly in the face of established chemical principles. Follow suit, idiom. To do the same as someone else has just done. When the senior researcher adopted the new protocol, others followed suit. For all. Despite. For all the available data, the mechanism cannot yet be fully explained. For fear of STH doing STH. Because you are worried about something's doing something. The researcher avoided touching the unknown chemical for fear of contamination. For one thing, phrase. Used to give a reason for something. For one thing, the lab lacked adequate ventilation. For ISB's benefit. In order to help. Redundant checks were added for the user's benefit. For the best. If something seems unpleasant now but will improve the future. Cancelling the field trip was for the best because extreme weather would have endangered participants. For in the foreseeable future. As far in the future as you can imagine. The region will rely on solar energy for the foreseeable future. Frame of mind. Emotional or mental state. Stress affects a researcher's frame of mind. Free speech, freedom of speech. The right to say or write what you want. Academics rely on freedom of speech to discuss controversial hypotheses openly. Fresh water, noun. Water from lakes, rivers, etc. that has no salt in it. Fresh water from the mountain stream was tested for pH levels. From onwards. Starting at a time and continuing. From 2020 onwards emissions declined. From top to bottom. Completely. The lab was cleaned from top to bottom before the inspection. From top to bottom, phrase. Completely. The laboratory was cleaned from top to bottom. Further. To make something develop or become more successful. The funding will further research into renewable energy. Fury. Extreme anger. The scientist's fury was evident when the experiment was ruined due to negligence. Fussy, careful. Too careful about unimportant details. The technician was fussy about calibrating every instrument precisely. Fussy, not liking. Only liking particular things and very difficult to please. The fussy chemical required very specific handling conditions. Future, what will happen? What will happen to someone or something in the time that is to come? Predictions about the future of AI research are highly optimistic. Gain, something obtained. When you get something useful or positive. The team gained valuable data from the trial experiment. Gamble, countable noun. A risk that you take that something will succeed. Investing in a novel technique was a gamble for the lab. Gamble, risk money. To risk money on the result of a game, race, or competition. They gambled on funding the innovative project despite limited resources. Gang, friends. A group of young friends. The student gang collaborated on the chemistry project after school. Gasp, breathe with difficulty. To breathe loudly and with difficulty trying to get more air. After the strenuous field test, the students were gasping for air. Gasp, countable noun. The noise that someone makes when they gasp. There was a gasp in the audience when the results appeared. Gasp, make noise. To make a noise by suddenly breathing in because you are shocked or surprised. She gasped upon seeing the unexpected reaction in the lab. Gaze. A long look at someone or something. He fixed his gaze on the microscope for several minutes. Genius, quality. The quality of being extremely intelligent or extremely good at doing something. Her genius in experimental design was widely recognized. Gesture. To point at something or express something using your hand, arm, or head. He gestured towards the graph to emphasize the trend. Get a move on. To hurry. Get a move on, the reagents expire soon. Get a move on. To hurry. The supervisor told them to get a move on. Get moving. To hurry. The team needed to get moving to finish the experiment before sunset. Get moving. To hurry. The team had to get moving to meet deadlines. Get off to start on the wrong foot, idiom. To start a relationship or activity badly. The collaboration started on the wrong foot due to miscommunication. Get out of hand. Become uncontrollable. The situation got out of hand. Get out of hand, idiom. To become difficult to control. The chemical reaction got out of hand and had to be contained immediately. Get out of hand, idiom, countable noun. To become difficult to control. The classroom discussion got out of hand without the teacher's intervention. Get STH muddled up. To confuse one thing or person with another. The assistant got the datasets muddled up. Get STH off your chest, idiom. To tell someone about something that you have been worried or angry about for a long time. He got it off his chest by discussing the failed trial openly. Get STH over and done with. To do something difficult or unpleasant as soon as you can so that you do not have to worry about it anymore. He completed the tedious calibration to get it over and done. Get STH over with. Finish something unpleasant quickly. He got the exam over with. Get the hang of STH idiom. To learn how to do something, especially if it is not obvious or simple. Once he got the hang of the new spectrometer, measurements became faster. Get the hang of STH idiom. To learn how to do something, especially if it is not obvious or simple. It took the new intern a week to get the hang of the laboratory equipment. Get the picture idiom. Used to say that someone understands a situation. After the explanation, the students finally got the picture of the complex experiment. Get the picture idiom. Understand a situation. After the explanation, she got the picture. Get through STH, finish. To finish doing or using something. The team got through the large dataset in record time. Get to SB, to make someone feel upset or angry. The criticism really got to the junior researcher. Get underway. To begin. The conference got underway with a keynote speech on renewable energy. Get underway, verb. To begin. The field research got underway at sunrise with the deployment of drones.